Hey everyone, it's Priscilla Berrios, licensed marriage and family therapist, and I want to answer a very frequent question that keeps coming up in my DM about the last video that I have put here on the YouTube channel. Is my pastor toxic? Many of you have been asking me this question, and I want to give you my response and why I am not going to do a video answering that question. But in a way, I am answering the question. Just stay tuned. All right, so like always, I need you to subscribe to this channel, like and share this video. And if you can, press the little bell that you see there so you could get notifications when we put out more videos, more content, okay? Thank you for doing that for me. So I want to address this frequently asked question that has to do with the last video that we posted up here on this YouTube channel called, Is My Pastor Toxic? So many of you have DM'd me, Priscilla, the next video has to be on how do we now leave a toxic pastor? How do we now address that situation? How do we now leave a toxic church or an abusive church? This is why I am not going to do a video with an ABC type of response. This is why I'm telling you now, this is why I'm not going to do a video on a quick cookie cutter, how to get out of a toxic church or get out of a dynamic with a toxic pastor. Every situation is different. I cannot give you a cookie cutter, one size fits all strategic move to get out of the grasp of being in a dynamic with a toxic pastor or getting out of a toxic church environment or even abusive church. Every situation is different. So for example, if I did say, okay, you found out you're being more aware that your pastor is toxic, do these three things. Have a conversation with them, get out of the church, maybe have a letter, and that's it. I don't want to do a response like that because it could seem like if I just do these three things, everything should just be smooth and the outcome should be awesome and I'm done, right? But here's the thing, I'm going to keep saying this. Every situation is different, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't find it appropriate when we're talking about real toxic churches, real pastors that are toxic, maybe even abusive. I'm very careful giving a 1, 2, 3 step. Because let's say there's an individual listening to me right now that is in a toxic or even abusive church and they feel intimidated speaking to their pastor because their pastor in that situation uses threats. How could I just simply say, go have a conversation with them? Maybe in that situation, the best thing to do is just do a letter because there's fear. I don't want to be alone behind closed door with this pastor who uses threats or who has physically, punched walls or screams. I'm not going to tell that person to go alone and speak to the pastor. That's all you need to do. Just speak to the pastor face to face so you could move on out of that church. That might not be the best outcome. That might not be the best strategy for that person. Okay, so I'm very careful not to say A, B, C. This is all you have to do to get out of a toxic relationship with your pastor. This is what you need to do to get out of a toxic church or a cult-like church, right? Because it kind of goes in levels. Since I'm talking about that, can I park there for a little bit? Because I don't want anyone to see my videos and think, oh, okay, if I have a disagreement with my pastor, that means he's toxic. That's not a sign of a toxic pastor. Okay, if my pastor seems upset in a moment, that must mean he's toxic. That doesn't necessarily mean he's toxic, right? Go back to that video of the 15 red flags we gave of, is my pastor toxic? Because then you have a pastor that might be unhealthy, a pastor that might not have the best people skills, and not necessarily be a full-blown toxic pastor, right? Then you have some pastors that are toxic, and then you have some pastors that are abusive, right? So again, I'm very careful not to say, here are these 3 things, these 4 things, these 5 things you need to do to get out of that church, because every situation's different. But what I can say is this, ladies and gentlemen, get counsel. If you feel like everything is, I'm checking off all the boxes, and every video I've seen about gaslighting and manipulation, my pastors are that. Every documentary I've heard about a cult-like church, my church resembles that. Okay, if you're getting that awareness, I believe you should still seek some type of counsel to figure out the correct strategy for your situation on what's the next healthy, safe move for you to get out of that church, for you to get out of the toxic relationship with that pastor. Because again, if I just say, try and have a conversation with the elders in your church. Not every church is safe, right? Because what if now we have a person where they take that and they say, okay, I'm going to do that in my situation. But let's say the elders group is super manipulative as well. And it just becomes this emotionally unsafe conversation where now they're putting things into light that you never wanted to be in light. And now there's a group of people listening. Maybe that's not the best strategy for your situation. So all I wanted to say was, I don't want to make the quick cookie cutter, the quick ABC 1, 2, 3 steps to become a one size fits all. I'm using all the cliche phrases right now on purpose. It's not a quick fix. It's not. When you're dealing with a real toxic pastor, when you're dealing with a cult-like church that has abusive systems in place, the best thing for you might not be to confront the situation. It might be to just leave, to just escape with a letter, maybe without a letter. Maybe it's just, I gotta go. I gotta go. Maybe your situation calls for legal intervention. So this is why I say, get counseling. Maybe get into therapy. Maybe get, depending the situation, you might need to get legal counsel, legal advice. So it's very different for every situation. So thank you so much for the questions. It shows me that this content is needed, right? Unfortunately, there are toxic-like pastors. There are toxic pastors. There are abusive pastors. There's unhealthy church circles. And then there's cult-like church circles, right? We're looking at the whole spectrum. And a lot of you are saying, okay, Priscilla, what do I now do next? My best consejo, my best counsel to you is to get counseling, right? Because you might listen to another person that got out of a different church dynamic that was toxic and they left in these ways. It might not be suitable for you to do the same thing they did. So get counseling, get therapy, really understand and uncover the different triggers that's been going on for you, for your family, right? Understand the outcome, the backlash that could happen when you now leave a type of church like this. This way, when you're receiving counsel on understanding spiritual abuse and understanding the aftermath that happens when you get out of a church like this, you're more mentally prepared. So do you guys all understand a little bit more now why I can't just do this simple list of steps to do to get out of a church like this? It wouldn't bode well for everyone's situation. Please like and share this video. I want to do my best to give content that is, number one, just kingdom content. It's coming from the throne to help anyone in need that might still be in a cult-like church or abusive church or toxic church. I want this information to come out so it could help you understand what next moves you need to do. Maybe it is legal advice. Maybe it is counseling and therapy. I really hope that this helps. So like and share this video. If you have not done so yet, make sure you subscribe. This helps the algorithm to push good content like this out so we could bring awareness to individuals that are still in these type of situations. They're still in churches that are unhealthy and toxic. God bless you all. I hope this was edifying.